What is going on, YouTube? I am Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you're interested, I'll leave a link below. I have you sitting on top of a banana tree right now because I'm getting my floors refinished. It takes a week, and I'm living in the laundry room right now on a twin-size bed that's very uncomfortable, which I'm getting rid of. I've actually decided to go a whole new route and just turn my guest room into an office. I have blow-up mattresses. If I have a guest that wants to sleep over, they get a blow-up mattress. Forget the twin-size bed. No, I'm done with that. Anyway, so I've been talking to you all on here about how I think there is going to be some sort of economic depression during 2025. I don't want to get too political, but I do believe that Trump is going to win, despite whether you're a Trump supporter or not. And I think that the Democratic Party knows it, and they haven't been playing by the rules. So I think that they are going to set Trump up to take the fall of the economy. We're no longer on the petrodollar. BRICS nation is going all wonky and crazy, and we are in debt up to our eyeballs, and it can't be kicked down the road any further. In my opinion, just my opinion. So I think that something's going to happen. I also think that there are going to be supply shortages like we have never seen before. Not out of retaliation for a conflict, but for we have no money. Like, we can't buy your stuff, so people aren't going to send it anyway. So what I'm doing at this point is, for starters, getting everything done on the interior of my house. I'm on this refinishing the floors is the last project on the inside of the house. The inside is done. Now it's time to work on the outside. And I promised myself I wouldn't start working on the outside until after the inside was finished. I'm sorry about the wind. But since he's in there doing the floor and I'm sitting in the laundry room, I started doing stuff. Now, when it comes to gardening, I am not a big, crazy gardener. I like my stuff simple, easy to take care of, very little maintenance, because I don't want to spend 40 hours of picking weeds and tilling soil in order to get what I could get for working 5 hours. You know what I mean? So if I'm out there and I dig a trench for potatoes and I have to weed it and garden it and water it and everything else, and I get a big bunch of potatoes, but I can buy a sack of potatoes for like $3, you have to weigh the pros and cons. And I'm learning a lot about my backyard, but I do want to show you some of the stuff that I've been up to. So I planted banana trees a long time ago. They were only 6 inches tall when I got them. I've got 3. And those will be planted in October or November, right after the first rain. And I have to, I had to make a couple changes because I forgot about the electricity wire, which goes right there. This one is the internet, this one's electricity. So I was gonna plant the banana trees along this fence, and I'm still going to, but further up. So what I've been doing is digging, as you can see, and this dirt is much, much healthier than I thought it would be. But I've been digging the whole thing, and I'm finishing today over here by the gate and the fence. I'm watering it right now. What I found is that if I just water it twice, and then I dig it up with the shovel or rototiller, and it aerates, it's beautiful dirt, beautiful dirt. And before, it was actually so low and compacted that it went about 4 inches under the fence. Now it's about 2 inches above it. And it looked like this, right? Super compacted, dead stuff. So now it's dirt. And then this was a drunk person built my driveway in the 70s probably. It's falling apart anyway, but I'm going to eventually, I don't think I'm going to have the time or the money to take out the driveway portion in the backyard. I might, but not anytime soon. So I'm going to use this center part as my potatoes. And then over here is going to be, I'm going to do 2 cactuses because you can see a cactus right here on my neighbor's property. So I figure if it's growing nice there, it'll grow nice 3 feet away from there. So I'm going to plant 2 cactuses that I'm just going to go into a back alley and take off a cactus pad and plant it because it's free and it's easy. And then over there will be the bananas. So I went and bought 2 barrels for water. I don't have any gutters yet, but the barrels were used for olives, and they only cost me $10 each, used, of course. But I have to clean out this one. I cleaned out, and well, I cleaned them both out, but this one needs to be cleaned again because it still really smells like olives. The other one doesn't smell like anything. So I'm gonna have to get some soap in there and stuff. I already took down all my apples from my apple tree. I counted 42, and I dehydrated them, and I'm gonna use them on my oatmeal in the winter. You guys saw me go blackberry, I made dried apricots. You saw me go blackberry and cherry picking, which I do all the time. My pear tree has not done anything for me. It hasn't grown anything. I've got 5 solar panels set up, and I believe I have another 600 or 700 watts. This is meant to power my refrigerator in a power outage. And I want to set up some more over by where the garbage cans are right now and put the wire into the window so that it powers my TV. So if the power goes out, I'll still be watching TV, which is good. I've got my e-bikes. I've got them separated. So I've got 3 here and 3 over there. These 3 are the slow ones, but they're the haulers. So that's my grocery getter with the trailer. That's my cargo e-bike. It's got runners on the back where I can carry another person. And this is my ad motor M66X, which has the really cool foot pad, which makes it super comfortable to ride. And it has pegs on the back so I can carry another person. Over in the corner there, I've got my trike, which it carries a lot. Like, it's got a basket on the back, and it carries almost as much as the trailer. I've got my Hemiway C5, and I'll get back to that in a little bit because I've got a little story about that. And then the yellow High Peak Bona. The High Peak Bona is the only one I have ever had out of the 40 e-bike reviews I've done. The High Peak Bona is the only one that will fit in my car to take somewhere. So over in this section right by the door, I've got some eggplant, which I'm going to make a video when they're ripe, and I'm going to make spaghetti, eggplant spaghetti. But see, can you see that? Nala, get out of there. So I've got the eggplant, I've got spearmint and mint, which I just moved over here because it was dying in the back fence. I've got a watermelon, flies, watermelon, and then a third one just came up that I planted a seed a long time ago. I love watermelon. And over here I've got more watermelon. But here's the hard part about gardening. So see these two trees behind me? Right there and right there. Those are cherry trees. Anything that I plant along this back fence dies. I put up 3 artichokes. They're ready to die. So I'm probably gonna try and replant them one more time. But, okay, I don't know if you can see it. See that? That's old concrete. It's like a concrete driveway. I'm standing under my canopy, which is a garage canopy, which had a foundation at one point. You can tell that it was a building at some point. I think this might have been the house, and my house was like a barn or something. I don't know. And then see that? That's like a foundation thing. And then when I planted these cherry trees, I kept digging and it would dig up concrete. So I'm wondering if this was all a concrete pad at some point, and that concrete pad goes all the way to the other side of the fence to the back alleyway, and the back alleyway is like 3 feet away from the fence. So it keeps going for another 3 feet after the fence, and I can't get anything to grow. So I'm wondering if it's all concrete, because I was digging up for the cherry trees, concrete, and then I dug up that concrete. This whole backyard, I dug up so much concrete because when I bought the house, I did it sight unseen, and I didn't even know that, other than the carport, I didn't know that there was any concrete back here, which is because it was so covered in brush. It was so covered. You couldn't see anything. But these are just the first steps of getting my victory garden going. I've got a lemon tree over here that's not growing. It's not dying, but it's not growing. And this was a tree stump when I got here. You can actually see this is metal. It's a metal piece that I cut down. It was a tree stump that was ages old, and I tore it up and turned it into firewood because they tore down the tree when the previous owner put in solar. It's so, and unfortunately on the side of the house, on the front, they took down some sort of fruit tree. Big time bummer. But over here on this side of the house, I'm going to put my water barrels here in the shade, because you want your water shady in a shaded area, and that's the most shaded area in my backyard. And I'm going to till this up and do something with it. I don't know what. But I am preparing. This is just the first step in preparing a victory garden for what I believe is coming. And if nothing comes, I'm just gonna have a nice hobby of gardening, nice little gardening hobby in the backyard, and some extra food. And of course I have the 2 orange trees in the front yard, which I can't eat them all. I've told you guys that I donated approximately 100 pounds to the food pantry last year, but I didn't have a fruit picker at the time, so I was up in the branches, climbing the trees, hitting my head. I'm a lot taller than I was as a kid. I don't recall hitting my head as a kid when I climbed trees, but I just kept hitting my head and scratching my forehead on all the branches, and I got sick of it. So I only donated about 100 pounds. I could have donated 200 or 300, but I just didn't want to keep hitting my head. But now that I've got the fruit picker, I can donate more. And by the way, that's after I've eaten my fill, everything I can. I've frozen orange juice for the entire year. I've made popsicles. I have orange at least 1 or 2 oranges every single day. And I still have like hundreds of pounds extra. And I do a lot of stuff with the church. And one of the things they do is a food pantry. So I'm going to donate it again this year, this coming winter, to the food pantry when they become ripe. And hopefully, if my garden starts producing like crazy, fingers crossed, eventually, maybe I can donate a lot more. Who knows? But as I stated, I do think that something's coming. I think that it could get to the point where there are blackouts and brownouts and no electricity for weeks. I do believe it's going to be worse than we've ever seen. I think we're going to have no gas or very little gasoline. So if you decide to go with like not a solar generator, but like get a tri-fuel generator, which can do propane, natural gas, or gasoline, because you want to diversify as much as possible right now. And if nothing happens in 2025, you won't hear me say anything else about it, because I really think it's 2025 that's going to be a bad year. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm saving as much. I'm saving as much cash as I can. I'm not spending. I mean, I don't spend money anyway, but I'm not investing my money this year in 2024, and it's only been like a couple months. So really, for about 7 months out of the year, I'm not investing any money, and I'm taking all my dividends and turning it into cash just through 2025. Again, if nothing happens in 2025, I'm going to take all that cash. It's going to go right back into the stock market, and I'm going to do my thing, or I'll save up for another house. You know me. You guys know me by this point. But I've been warning people on my channel for a couple months, and I don't do it out of fear mongering. I'm not scared of what's coming. I'm not scared because I'm prepared. If there's no gas, I've got e-bikes. If there's no food, I've got a garden and my stockpile. You guys, well, the only thing I care about is my coffee. So I've been stockpiling coffee, milk, and sugar like crazy, just so I can still have my coffees. So, because I can't grow milk, I can't grow coffee, I can't grow sugar. I don't have enough land. I've been improving my relationships with my neighbors, especially Diane, a couple doors down. We trade, we barter. I had dinner at her house day before yesterday. We had BLTs. And I brought her, I got some Chinese food and I gave her half. I brought her some of those blackberries that I picked, that type of thing. And if anything goes really bad, you know, my neighbors, I'm not looking to hoard everything and not help anyone. You know what I mean? So if my neighbors are in a really bad spot, they can't, you know, and I think it's going to get to the point, like in the Great Depression, you can't afford the electric bill, so your electric's getting turned off. You can't afford the internet's getting shut off. You can't afford your cell phone's getting shut off. You can't afford your garbage bill, you're going to have to cancel your garbage bill and figure out another way. I'm talking like the stuff that people consider absolute necessities are going to be shut off. Water, in my house, water will be the last thing I shut off, but it may get to the point where I have to. And if that's the case, I've got to ride an e-bike down to the river with a couple of 5-gallon buckets. And then I have to spend a lot of time pasteurizing or boiling the water to make it drinkable and usable. It's just a whole other system. And I'm not doing this to scare people. I'm doing this to prepare. So if you have extra money, buy yourself a solar generator, something that will power a refrigerator. If you have a big giant refrigerator, I would recommend getting a smaller apartment size refrigerator or freezer to put your food in, because they use a lot less energy, a lot less electricity. And if the stores are going to do what I think they're going to do, they're going to close because of looting. You're not going to have a lot of food in your fridge anyway. So might as well get a small one. For complete off-grid, not including climate control, I recommend a 1500 watt unit with a minimum of 500 watts of incoming solar. If you just want to power like a TV or a CPAP, go with 1000 watts and a minimum of 300 watts of solar panels. I don't care what unit you get. You know, you don't have to use my links. I'm just saying that's what it is. When it comes to e-bikes, having an alternative mode of transportation. If you are on a tight budget, the cheapest e-bike I have reviewed that I like, by the way, I've had to send many cheap ones back. But the one that I like is the High Peak Bona. I think you can get them for like $500-600. That's not a lot. That's not a lot for an e-bike. It goes 25 miles an hour if you unlock it. It's got really good distance and it'll fit in a car. It'll fit in a Corolla, okay? They're foldable. So it's time to get stuff in order. If you live, I always get the one person who thinks they're the exception to the rule. I can't do anything because I live in an apartment. Okay, well, you can fit cans under your bed. All right, cans and water under your bed. Aero garden. There's aero gardens that you can just plug into a wall and it grows food. Hydroponics. You can take old coffee cans, tie a string around it, put a hook on the end, take a curtain or open your curtains, start hanging them on the curtain rod in front of the window to grow food. You know, it's time people start, you know, this whole thing about, I always talk about having common sense, and I have got to tell you, you have to start thinking outside of the box. You have to. There's no alternative. You have to. If you want to not starve to death, because I don't think that the food pantries are going to have extra food. I don't think there's gonna be food pantries for a while. Maybe a soup kitchen where you can pick up as many germs as you want, as many diseases and common colds and flus as you'd like, going and waiting in a soup kitchen line. Go for it. But when people don't have extra food to donate to a food bank, and when grocery stores no longer have the extra money to purchase extra products to make their stock look full, they're going to purchase less products. So they have nothing left to donate, and people have nothing left to donate to the food banks. So there might not be any food banks in 2025. I'm just saying. You have to start thinking outside the box. And if you say, I can't, I will come up with a yes, you can in 5 different ways. And I think that a lot of people on here who are my subscribers, my viewers, my commenters will say, well, why don't you just do this? You know, go get some tin cans, poke some holes in the bottom, hang it from a window curtain, and you've got a growing pot inside your apartment. That type of thing. All right, folks. I don't want to scare you, but I just wanted to show you the beginnings of my soon to be, probably not soon, but my eventually to be victory garden for 2025. I think I'm going to make some really interesting videos soon that you guys are really going to like. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.